Facebook group. Yeah. So it'll be on the Facebook group. You will see the link to the recording and the YouTube channel as well. So today we are discussing the Starbucks app. And one of the reasons we chose this app was it's not just a software product that we are talking about. It's also integrates with a physical hardware, not hardware, but physical location integration, right? Like even the barista at the store and at the right store has to know you've ordered something and at the right time, and make sure you have your drink ready for pickup. So it's kind of like more than just designing for the virtual software pixel-based world. There is real life implications of it. The other reason we chose this app was Starbucks really has introduced this app as a later part, like the brand existed for a while as a physical brand, and then they adopted technology, right? So how do products that are, they have a bigger presence, a larger presence in our life in a different way come about, and then they embrace technology and really do it in a really amazing way. They are a really great example of that. So let's dive in. Before we do very, very quick intros, my name is Rutuja. I am a product leader. I've been a product manager for 15 years. Meta, Affirm, Microsoft, Peerspace, big companies, small companies. Currently, with Katrina, we host these sessions on a monthly cadence, as well as we do a little bit of coaching and consulting. So if you need any help, follow us on LinkedIn or feel free to send an email at thepmkit@gmail.com. Just very, very quick housekeeping rules. Be present. Keep your Google open because it helps us to, or whatever research tool, because it helps us do quick research and participate. Please mute if you're not talking. Leverage the hand raise function. All ideas are good ideas. We are a very positive community, built on top of each other's ideas. Something always amazing comes out of that. And if there are if there are same ideas mentioned, maybe just use the +1 in chat instead of repeating the same idea. Cool. So let's dive in. I forget, I am not screen sharing. Yeah. So imagine that you are the head of product for the Starbucks app. Okay, you've been hired. The app exists. You guys have all played with it. If not, take a look while we are chatting. How do you see it fitting in with the larger company? And more importantly, what would you do next? What would you want to work on next, given where the app is, what you know about Starbucks, and where do you think they should invest in? So folks who are familiar with the format, if we go to the next slide, Katrina, we generally start with the company mission, vision, goal, because let's ground us in the facts and then start from there. So feel free to raise your hand, or if we are a small group, so feel free to chat, unmute and talk. What do you think is Starbucks mission and vision?
Can I ask a question? Are we supposed to be looking online, or are we supposed to do it from what we think just based on our experience with the brand?
You can look up online, which is why I said you can keep your Google or GPT or whatever you're using today for research. You can just keep it open.
Okay.
But as you research, you'll probably see different flavors of this information also. So and you might pick up on different nuances of the information. So we can have Michelle kick us off.
Yeah, I just found it very interesting that the stated mission is, with every cup, with every conversation, with every community, we nurture the limitless possibilities of human connection. That is very broad and something I wouldn't expect from Starbucks, right? Yeah. I'm thinking something related to, just providing people with coffee that they want to look for in the day. But I think that it's an interesting take on it to broaden its mission, broaden its scope, as Starbucks extends itself and its capabilities. I'm also thinking about the app itself, especially coming out of your prompt. like, why would we have this app? And I like the idea of that merging of the physical world and the virtual world. You're not always next to a Starbucks, but you always want to be in people's minds. And how do you do that? You can be in their pockets and in their phones.
Yeah.
So that's a way to maintain that connection and to keep the trigger of like, hey, reminder, this is something that you can have to satiate your need for coffee every morning. And then there's that gamification aspect of like, let's keep people motivated to come back to our stores. So it's a great way to tie in the digital and the physical world and keeping people's minds focused on, or not focused, but like coming back to the company.
Yeah, makes sense. Dory.
I was just going to say one thing that I really appreciate about Starbucks is they've created this slightly healthier option to McDonald's because they're so ubiquitous now.
Yeah.
You know, you can find them anywhere you're driving. In like, let's say you're on a road trip and you have to choose between like McDonald's or something else really quick. And it's like, oh, thank God there's a Starbucks. At least I can get like an iced coffee and like something semi-healthy. So I just think they've done a really good job of that, is providing like a slightly healthier, ubiquitous drive-through option than McDonald's.
Yes. I think, that's what I would have thought their mission would be, about something healthier, something quick, something available. So, and ubiquitous, but I'm amazed that, their mission is so broad that it's talking about community, connections, human connections. Because I think they also have wine bars, or they toyed with wine in the evenings in some places. So maybe that's how it expands. What do we think it is currently? Is it a mature product? We can talk about maybe the brand separate from the app.
I think, yeah, it is a mature brand in the sense that everybody knows what to expect when they're entering a Starbucks. And that's true not just in a particular city or something. It's almost true across the globe, wherever the Starbucks is present.
True, true. How many of us here have used the app to actually get a cup of coffee? I have way back, but cool. So there are quite a few. I don't know if you're power users, but at least you have used the used the app. Cool, cool. How do we think about the categorization of the app? Is it a B2B, B2C, B2B2C, or from a lens of, is it an entertainment, education, productivity?
If you're only talking about app, then it would be B2C, I think.
Yes, let's talk about the app. Good clarification, because we want to tear down the app, not the entire brand. We might do that maybe as a follow-up. If we have fun doing this, we can go to the larger brand. But the app is B2C, yes. I don't think there are any B2B elements in it, not that I have seen, unless somebody else has seen something.
I think the larger company has B2B aspects, but I'm not so sure about the app.
Yeah. What is it? What category does it lie in? Is it like a food and retail? Yeah, I think this is our first foray into a food and retail app teardown, so it's going to be fun. Michelle.
I kind of want to extend that to what we found in that article, right? It's food and retail primarily, but you can almost extend it to like, it's got some sort of like financial packaging to it, right?
Yeah.
Like you're using it to store money, and you can almost use it similar to you're using like a checking account.
Yes, yes. There is that article was amazing about how it's also a bank, because their gift cards are very liquid. And I think they also have the rewards also makes it as a collateral or accrued. I don't know, money is not the right term, but accrued something that you can pay with. right? So there is, they are also financial, the loyalty program gives you some sort of financial benefit that you don't have to spend your money. Does
One thing
Yeah.
which I would like to add is when you sign up for the app and you enter your details like name, email ID, it says, join rewards. And I mean, like, that's their main thing about, like, rewards is the main thing they want to attract, and that's why you are on this platform.
Yes. Yes, the loyalty or the rewards is why it's one of the biggest draws of the app for people. Definitely. Do you think their business model is separate from the larger Starbucks business model?
They do have different apps for different countries, right? Or catered differently for different regions, because the menus might be different.
Okay. I actually did not notice that, but I will double check. Sorry, I used to live in US till February and moved to Netherlands, so I want to check how the menu is different here. But I have not been to a Starbucks here either. So
Just to get clarification, would you say that it's a different app or the content is different?
Yeah, I don't know because I haven't really looked into it. But when I put there, like, because I was just looking at how Target has an alliance with Starbucks. Is there some customization, app-based customization for them? But while searching that, it appeared that Starbucks Japan mobile, Starbucks Indonesia, Starbucks Kuwait applications, so they seem like separate. I don't know if the interface is different, but I know menu definitely is different for Starbucks India versus Starbucks US.
yeah, because okay, let me check, because I don't know if I can just change the, in the same app, I can just change the country and
Yeah, that could be a probably an option somewhere.
because what I see is if I pick a different store, I think the menu changes based on my pickup location, which I think would be same even in US, right? Like
For the
maybe
regional, got it.
yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah, I
but
think
the menu-
I think the app's the same, but because Starbucks operates off a franchise model, sometimes what's available and what the payment methods in different locations are different. So for instance, if you go to a Starbucks that's in an airport, this might be the B2B aspect, but it's outside the scope of probably this discussion. Sometimes, or at least in the past, they wouldn't take Starbucks cards. They would want some other payment because it was like run by the airport, or like
Yes.
Target sometimes does its own thing, or some of the supermarkets will do its own thing, because I think they franchise it out and they use a different payment system. But I don't know if things have evolved now to use the stars, the loyalty program.
Yeah.
But I think that might explain why you see like different offerings because they franchise.
That does make sense. So their business model for the larger company is, there is direct sales of FMCG items, but it's also franchising of the locations, right?
Yeah.
Any other, and of course, the rewards and the banking model that goes behind it. Is there any other business model that we see for the larger?
I think recently, right, they've obviously collaborated with Target, right? So this you could have if you go for a pickup, a drive-through, a Target pickup, you could also add a Starbucks drink. But it's right now, I think that they've not launched it across all states, but that's something which they are also trying to promote. That hey, you come in, because now I think post-COVID, right, lot of people are utilizing the store pickup over physically coming into the store. So that's another way where they're trying to leverage that relationship with Target.
Okay, that makes sense. So you're saying like just as you check out goods or do a pickup order on Target, you can add a Starbucks.
The Target app, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's not launched in all states in US. Just few of the states they've started, but I think like by end of this year, the plan is to launch it across.
Got it. Makes sense. Pearl.
Yes. So something I wanted to add, though it's not directly related to the app, Starbucks even has their stores, but at the same time, they have these premium outlets called as roasteries in the premium cities. I think they have one in Chicago, one in New York. Not sure about the other states in the US.
Yeah,
But that is something, yeah. And they provide drinks and even desserts, bakery goods that is not available on the app. And that kind of is a part of their experience.
true, which makes sense for the larger Starbucks as a brand. Is there a difference in the app for a premium store versus a non-premium store?
That I'm not very sure because I haven't used it at a premium store. But I do know that the items on the menu are different at the premium store.
Got it.
But I'm not sure how it relates to the app.
Yes, that makes sense. Cool. So moving on.
Oh, sorry. I was going to add for the for the business model. I'm looking at the app right now, and I think I just want to add like two things. One is that they really push, they have a dedicated tab for gifts. So I think that's a big part. They are, so it's like, if you look at the app, you break it out to like, what do they do? There's like the primary part is let you order, right? So there's that business. Maybe their margins are kind of thin because, you know, retail, I mean, even though it's coffee, they price it, you know, up. But then there's like, it's probably a significant portion of their business from the app is gift giving. It's like you're in a moment, you're like, oh, I need to be somewhere. I need to give something to my kid's teacher. I know I forgot. And what can I give like really quickly? I don't have time to go stop by some store or to buy something, but I know she can use like a Starbucks gift card. So I think that must be a big part of their app. And then I think in the past, I don't see it anymore. I thought there used to be a thing about music, but maybe they've just given up on the music. Like there was a time when they had CDs and stuff. I didn't know if they still had that.
But I haven't seen it recently. Yeah.
So it's probably just like the shopping and then the gift giving aspect.
I mean, the gifting has to be big because if you go look at the app, you'll probably see like back to school category, birthday category, thank you category, friends buy friends coffee, fall celebration. Like, you know, it's not just, you know, like most places will have one gift and like now you're on your own, but this is like, it's not just denominations, but occasions are also celebrated with different themes and other things. Michelle, you're right. You know, possibly the nurturing human connection gifting is a part, but I think even in the larger outside of the app, stores are very welcoming and they don't kick you out, right? Like you can sit around and on a cup of coffee and linger if needed. I think there is a little bit of that in the larger brand as well. Okay, just to keep us moving in the interest of time. Sorry, I got signed out somehow, but coming back to it. Who do we think are the key personas and users of this app? And we can think about a user persona, the buyer persona. So let's look a little deeper. I'll give you an example. I buy my teenager not coffee but a juice on a Friday, in which case I am the buyer persona, the mom, and my teenager is the user persona. And really, like, you know, it's all starts with him asking me that, can I get a smoothie, or, you know, stuff like that? Can I get a snack? So that's like the buyer versus the user persona. Who do you see are the common user personas and the buyer personas?
Somebody who is in a hurry to not go to store and then order, and maybe they're on their way and just want to order and pick up their order as soon as they reach the store.
Yeah, totally. Dory.
Yeah, I'm thinking of someone where there's a Starbucks on their way to work or on their way somewhere that they always go. And so it's just so convenient for them to just, like, they know they're going to be passing by, so they're going to use this app to make sure that they don't have to wait for their drink.
Yeah. And Paul, yes, you know, the buyer is the user. Do we think buyer is the user for most use cases with this app?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. Especially, this is like personas are like coffee lovers, really. It could be any age. That's their biggest target, right? So, and college-going kids probably most used by them.
Yeah.
And office goers in the morning and evening.
Yeah, totally. Do you think there are different personas by Starbucks that are in the downtown areas versus the suburbs? These are just, and the answer can be no. You're like, no, it's the same people.
No, actually, it is different because, downtown will have more office going people or more people running businesses
Yeah.
versus, towns where there are colleges, those will cater to college going kids more. I'm sure there are others too, but, bigger target audience would be based on the location.
Yeah. I also think like people in downtown, the someone who's on the go, workers, college students, probably, I don't know about college students, but they want something maybe before classes or before office starts very quick. Like their needs are speed and not waiting in line. What do you think the needs of teens are, or of the suburban? I don't want to say mom because that becomes very gendered, but the suburban person demographic, yes.
Yeah, I want to add, I have a college going kid, so he goes to a college Starbucks for water.
For water.
Yes, because the water in the, campus is not cold, not good quality. So, and I'm sure he doesn't go alone. A bunch of them go, and some will pick drinks, and some will just come out with water. Yeah.
Yes, the non-caffeinated drinks. That makes sense. There's also the gift giver persona. Especially I'm sure like teachers, babysitters, nannies, they all get a Starbucks gift card at some point.
I'd add something also about how you can customize your drink to every little detail, which I think is unique about Starbucks compared to other coffee places. I feel like there's something about that type of persona who wants a particular blend or who wants some customization.
Yes, totally. When I used to do Starbucks, it was for chai and I needed 4 pumpfuls and not the 3 that they offer by default. And extra hot. So yes, people who need their drink just a specific way, every day.
Yeah, I want to add to this. So they are actually catering to special needs too, those avoiding dairy and things like that, right? So they have specialized milks in their menu now, which is amazing. So
that is true, yes. So I want to introduce, while we still think about this persona needs in our mind, think about competition. Who are their key competition, and do they not do some of these cater to these personas or their needs? So just balancing the two things in there at the same time. Who do you think are their direct and indirect competition?
Just before that, I would like to add one more person I was thinking was somebody who's not that frequent might find app easier to use because they give a lot of detail as to what those particular menu item contains. You can go through it in your own time instead of feeling little overwhelmed by the number of choices they generally have. And if you're in a queue at a rush hour, it's easier to order in the app.
Yes, makes sense. Dore.
Yeah, I was going to say, as far as it's a little bit more down market, but like every McDonald's, every 7-Eleven, basically all those convenience stores do offer coffee and it's very fast. And so that's probably one reason why they had to figure out a way to make it faster for people to get in and out. Like that may be a reason for the app too, is to try to feed people through so they don't go to a 7-Eleven instead.
Yes, I actually also wonder, like, would a person who typically, because of the cost reasons, goes to a 7-Eleven coffee? So it's not just about the speed, but also the quality of coffee. They will likely not go to a Starbucks and vice versa. I don't have any evidence of this. If somebody knows that there are people who go to 7-Eleven, don't go, it's like the Costco versus Sam's Club kind of a thing. People choose.
Yeah, I think McDonald's does have like Frappuccinos and stuff like that. So I do think they try to get some of that competition.
Okay.
So I did want to add one data point here. I was going through some articles yesterday and found this one where they talked about the app and how the strategy was to go for the iOS app. The reason they did so was because Starbucks had something in common with people who buy iPhones. They target the elite people, right? People who are rich, who don't mind spending extra bucks for that premium cup of coffee. So I think from that perspective, if you think about that, they wouldn't be the people who would step into a 7-Eleven for a cuppa.
Yes. I think, if you have that link, Shritama, please drop it, because that quality is a differentiator, right? Like it's not the cheapest cup of coffee available
Yep.
on the market.
That's true.
One
Let me
persona I think that
pull
we
that
could
link.
add is I think kids. So they cater to kids. Like when I want to get a cup of coffee, my kid will make sure that she gets her cake pop. And then they have variety of cake pops in very attractive packaging sort of for the kids. So which I haven't seen as much as other places. So they do have like brownies or cheese Danish or something that'll be very attractive to kids, and they do a good job of catering to that persona.
Yeah, I would say they cater to families when they do show up, like that maybe
Yeah.
one to put it, because I mean, teenagers insist on going to Starbucks. Kids, we can at least control saying that no, we are not going to Starbucks today.
Yes, but then the kids will insist like, oh, I want a cake pop. I'm like,
Oh.
no. But yeah, so they have marketed to them as well, sort of.
Makes sense. Any other personas or competition?
So so competition in terms of, I think Phil's is a very good example, because they make every single like order from scratch. So they offer another level of customization more than I would think Starbucks. So I think even their coffee is slightly more even premium than Starbucks.
Yeah.
But then that's the taste or whatever that you basically pay for. So so yeah, that
makes sense.
I think.
I feel they are in the middle of the spectrum, right? Like they are not the 7-Eleven, McDonald's, but they are not like the Ogawa, the Blue Bottle, the more premium. They are like the more mass luxury brand in that sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Moving on so that we actually can, Michelle.
Just related to competition and thinking back to the financial aspect, I was thinking that part of what Starbucks caters to is when you don't have cash or your credit card and you're paying by your app. So thinking about competitors like just Apple Pay or any method of payment that you have through your phone is something that, like, why would you need a Starbucks app when you can just pay regularly with your phone?
Yeah. And a digital wallet from that sense can be a competition, or just plain old credit card, like instead of playing, you're collecting points as well as you're paying via your cards. You're kind of getting dual points as a user, right? Cool. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure, like, we are like at the 1/2 past. So, or we can continue next time too, that's also not a problem. Kind of related to still the needs and the competition versus where they kind of bubble up to the top. Why do we think people really, really like them? Knowing, the personas and the the area they play in. So we talked about them being like a mass luxury product. Right? Like they're not on the two ends of the spectrum. What's their claim to fame? Like, why? And I know this is where maybe the app is separate to separate, app and the brand are hard to separate. But if you focus just on the app, what is their claim to, why is that app so popular? Like
gamification.
Sorry, Madhura, please.
So they have basic gamification done very well. You get stars and this and that for streaks and free drinks and whatnot. So they have done an excellent job of gamification in their app. That is one of the main reasons why I buy from the app whenever I buy, because they will record all the stars and points and then free birthday drink and whatnot. So I think that is one of the standouts in their app.
Do the other apps not do it? Like I haven't used say Fills or
Pills doesn't do it. You can just customize a drink and then place the order from the app. There is no gamification. There is nothing that there's no loyalty basically. If you
Yeah.
keep on buying from Pills, it's not like they'll give you a 5th cup of coffee for free. No.
Okay. What do others think? Like, is their loyalty program their biggest driver?
I feel right. Their human connection is something which kind of drives them more as the brand, because as an organization, right, they're also very invested in their employees. They have a lot of benefits in terms of they really invest. Even the baristas, they have this education program where the baristas can also invest into, where they can go to college and still work there, where Starbucks pays a part of their education. And you can see the human connection, even the way the baristas at Starbucks treat you versus Dunkin's. Like the Starbucks close to my workplace, the moment you walk in, for folks, they remember, hey, who are like regulars, by the time you walk in and check out, your order is already ready because they remember each and everybody's order that way. So it's also, I feel right, it's just not like specific people. It's on how, like I've seen at various baristas where like you're going regularly, they kind of honor that thing.
Got it.
For me, that's the experience where I like, hey, that human touch like brings me back.
And you don't have that at Phil's? Sorry.
So I'm on East Coast. We don't have Phil's. We have Dunkin's.
Okay. Yes, you
that
can compare Dunkin's.
Yeah, as compared to not that.
But I'll tell you, like I used to live on the East Coast, and the Dunkin' auntie was my, like what you describe, I would say that was my Dunkin's experience.
Okay. Yeah, I have
Dunkin'
not had that here.
yeah. Michelle.
Yeah, this is where I would bring in the comment you had earlier, Rituja, on the personal connection. They make the environment so welcoming that they don't push you away. They have great Wi-Fi connection. Whenever I think of a place to meet up with somebody, Starbucks is one of the first things I think of because it's so welcoming. They have spaces for you to sit in, to have, even mini meetings and I think that other places have that in small respects, but Starbucks really puts an emphasis on it.
100%. Like I can't compare a Dunkin's environment to the same. 100%. Shritama.
Rituja, one clarification. Were you asking specifically for the app or for the brand?
For the app.
Okay.
And I know this is hard because it's the brand and the app's ethos is so and the physical store is so merged together, but let's focus on the app if possible.
Sounds good. So one of the things that I think we talked about, like one of the personas being people who are on the go. With this app, it makes it so much easier for folks to order that cup of coffee ahead, right? That you like automatically get over that inconvenience of having to wait in a long line and then get your coffee. I think they just make that barrier to entry very low through this app.
Yeah, that is true. Maddie, do you want to talk about the consistency and the predictability piece?
I guess I was forgetting that we're talking mostly about the app, but I was saying that about the stores, but it is somewhat true of the app because you always know if I order a latte, it's simply just, okay, which is my closest Starbucks? And I know the latte is going to taste exactly the same and it's going to be the standards that I want it to be. And I can save whatever weird settings that I have onto it. So it's just a few taps. So in a way, it does still apply to the app.
Yeah, Dory. You're muted.
Sorry. I really like I don't go to Starbucks that much. So I really like the photos and you can click in and get the ingredients. There's a lot of, I do use some restaurant apps and they don't even have a photo of the food. So this feels very accessible. I can see, yes, this is what I thought it was. I didn't order the wrong thing. So
yes,
that I really like.
I agree. And I think that's not there in other apps or even regular, bigger, larger restaurants. Like I know my calories, my macros, my everything. So if I'm so that's actually one very unique persona. If you want to add that, if you are a very fitness conscious person, you know exactly what is going in. And especially if you're reordering the same favorites, that one tap reorder is simply simply amazing. Yeah, makes sense. I also like their map feature, especially when you go to a new place and you don't know where's the Starbucks, you can find it. You don't have to go to Google Maps. You can just do it here. Or order in advance. I think that is another great thing. So you don't have to stand in a long line or a drive-through line. Especially when you have kids and you're doing a road trip, you can order ahead and food and drinks are ready for you. Okay, talking a little bit about their weakness. Do they have a weakness? Like, to me, their coffee is not that great, but that's not the app's problem. That's the thing. It's consistently the same coffee, but not a blue bottle. So, what's their weakness?
I've gotten logged out randomly, and I can't figure out how to. It's hard for me to log back in. But that's specific to the app, but maybe this is relevant because we're talking about the app. I don't know why I get logged out, but when I get logged out, it makes me not want to go through all the hoops to log back in.
Yeah. Okay. I haven't really come across when I was researching to see what are some of their weaknesses. I didn't come across many. Everybody's so happy with their reward system that people are like, I'm getting my free coffees and rewards. I'm happy. But yes, it's not a tech first company. So technical glitches at login, log out is potentially something possible. Paddy.
I don't know if we'd call this a weakness, but from a consumer standpoint, I do sometimes find it's too good. It's too business first instead of consumer first. So I'm in Canada, so I don't know if this happens in the States, but it was for the longest time you could only order, or they would make it incredibly hidden. Whereas if you wanted to order ahead, you had to order through a gift card. So
Okay.
you had to like purchase a $25 gift card. Of course, they made this very easy, but you know, I would be really annoyed as a customer and be like, oh, this corporation is always making me I just want like a $6 coffee. Don't take 25. I think they've changed it, but it's like a really hidden drop down. So, and I'm just accustomed to these stupid $25 gift cards I buy myself. So, you know, like, I don't know if we'd say that's a weakness, but as a customer, I find it annoying.
Yeah, totally, because you don't want to spend 25 unnecessarily. Michelle.
Yeah, I'm wondering about the dependence on the digital presence of it. Like, what if you want to purchase, but your app's not working or you forgot your phone? Are you able to give your phone number and still accumulate points, or still leverage a coupon or an offer that you had before?
Yeah. True. Or your phone is plain dead and now you have to just wait till it charges, till it comes back up. Totally. It doesn't notify if you are low on funds. Yes. So yeah, so it's not like all rainbows and unicorn. These are like real customer challenges. I wonder also, like, if they are demographics or older demographics, how common is the usage? Or would they not download an app and then do all of these things? But again, I don't have data, so I'm not saying anything. Cool. Moving, I'll let you finish then. Is there, by the way, anyone knows their Android and iOS experience is similar, or are they iOS only?
It's there on Android too, and I think the experience is pretty much similar. They started off with iOS, but now they're on both.
Okay. Shritama.
Yeah, I don't know about this, but I think one of the things that could be done via the app are like these contextual notifications. I'm not sure if they do it via the app, but if they don't, as a Starbucks user, let's say I'm passing through a Starbucks store, and they could very quickly send me a notification that, hey, like, why don't you pick up a cup of coffee from there since you are passing by? I don't know if the app does that. But if it doesn't, I think that's possibly one of the weaknesses, where they are losing out an opportunity to monetize from existing customers for whom they have a lot of data?
Yeah, possible. I can also see, like, would you want to be notified? Like, would that be a breach of privacy? So hold that thought. Let's go to the next section. I actually thought their real estate, I mean, their landing screen is very clean, but that's possibly also because I haven't ordered in a recent time. Maybe that changes. But coming to their, we talked about their strength, we talked about their weaknesses. There's a mention of an opportunity. If we think about the app, it's been around, people are loving it more or less. Where do you think, as a head of product for this app, would you think that your biggest threats, challenges, or even opportunities are? And think from the our regular AARRR framework to think about where would you focus on prodding? Michelle, sorry, I didn't see your hand.
I'm thinking maybe further down the funnel, just because, I feel like their acquisition, their broader part of the funnel is pretty good. But when it comes to, so one of the use cases I'm thinking about is my husband has a Starbucks app. I have a Starbucks app. He goes a lot more frequently than I do. And like all my points and anything I'm invested in kind of whittles away. And I just wish there was a way to connect the two. Is there a way to have a family plan for Starbucks, especially if, you've got kids also starting to, well, maybe not the kids, but, especially with a husband and wife mechanism, like it'd be nice to accumulate the points over time and even consider 2 different birthdays, because he got a free Starbucks on his birthday, but I didn't. So things like that, just consolidated in one might be good, because I'm thinking it's more of that engagement and re-engagement and retention. It's easier to pull people back, but that, and also the monetization of it. We didn't really talk a lot about how do they monetize the app. I think a lot of that has to do with the storing your money into the app and having them have access to that for monetizing, and maybe, I don't know, maybe even some partnerships there, but somewhere.
Yeah. So let's look at some data. If you guys can search alongside with me. I agree. I think, right now I'm seeing that there are 32 million people, 32 million people who use Starbucks mobile payment app to purchase their coffee. And there's another article which says it's 15% year over year increase. So that's not a small amount of people. So there's maybe they don't have problem in activation. For context, if you think US is 300 million people, roughly 50% adults, of 150 million, they have 32 million people. I would love to see later how it compares to, say, a Target app or a Costco membership, but that's just a thing to think for separately. So their sweet spot is making sure people who are on it are retained, and it may be increasing the monetization of it, right? So it's not like, so people are already paying, but maybe increase the basket size is maybe their focus on. And this family plan persona might be one way to increase the basket size. What do you guys think? It can also be wrong, okay? So if you see other data say that, no, there are challenges elsewhere.
Yeah, I should have raised my hand. I'm also thinking about diversification of their revenue streams through the app. Katarina mentioned they had music there before, but maybe they don't. They have some merchandise that they're trying to sell, but it's not as highlighted, like their cups, for example, or just being able to purchase coffee. So I think there's the potential to have more uses for the app besides its main use case and extend the capabilities to monetize in other places.
Yeah. So revenue diversification, revenue increase is definitely a thing. Katrina, I see your comment that probably their costs are also high, right? Like they probably have to pay somebody for the credit card processing costs. So that might be one thing as a head of product to dive into with the business side to see if that can be changed. Dory.
Well, if their mission is truly about connection, and I know there's sort of like a crisis of like loneliness in the United States, I'm just wondering if they could use the app to promote, they could have like reasons for people to come to the store. Like maybe someone's going to give a little talk on a subject, and that could get people, oh, okay, I'm going to go at 5 o'clock, on Thursday to go listen to somebody talk about wine. Like you said, they're serving wine. Like maybe they could actually really give people more of a reason to come back. And certainly the app would be a way to notify people about those kinds of things.
Yeah. If we go back to their mission about human connection and community, that could be one aspect. Like, but then once people are there, they'll buy something and
right,
make money. So again, tied to revenue, right? Like it's more lower funnel, focusing on increasing revenue for them. Any other thoughts?
I have one, which is actually the app works even if you're not logged in. And I don't know, I mean, I think it's a trade-off that they're making. They don't want to like lock you out if you don't have a loyalty account, but it actually works so well that there really isn't a need to log in. And I don't really care about the stars anymore. I went through a phase of my life where I cared a lot about the stars, and then I realized that I feel like it's a lot of work. So get a reward. So I just like, once I got logged out by a glitch, I just like never logged back in, and it's been fine. Like I have not, I don't get to save my preferences, but it still works. And so I don't know how much opportunity cost there is to miss out. Like how many people are still doing it? Maybe most people do, so it's fine. But is it valuable to get that sales data and correlation, like this type of user orders these types of things, and then like, so that's a feedback. Essentially it's a loyalty program, right? Like if this didn't exist, people could still go to Starbucks to buy, but they may not like sort of down funnel, like, they may not maximize their service or the products or their revenue.
Yeah, that is true. They'll miss out on some data, but I bet they still can do some based on the zip code and the credit card used and some ways.
Or maybe device ID. I don't know how much information
they get. Cool. I know we just have 8 more minutes, so I'm going to switch to the next slide. And again, we'll share the Jamboards. If you think about other things, we can continue on the Facebook comment thread. So based on these challenges or these opportunities that we thought, what would be the specific features that you would build? Like, let's say one challenge we said was, or opportunity was increasing diversification of revenue. And one we said was increasing the purchase basket. What features would we build, And again, if we run out of time, that's fine. It's a prompt to think that these are kind of themes of investments. These are not necessarily features. So if you end up saying like, hey, Starbucks app is my favorite app in an interview setting, don't end here. Please think of features, concrete features that will help doing this. Michelle.
So I'm wondering, extending the connection idea through the gift giving, I feel like they could lean on that aspect more and have more of a recurring situation there. So for example, like if there's an occasion, like I'm giving a gift card for a birthday and this person really loves Starbucks. So if there's a constant reminder, hey, birthday's coming up again, gift card, go, that makes things easier. So you could almost use that gift area as a way to remember and keep up with your kin keeping.
Yeah. I can also say like maybe, like all our admin days, and there could be like these reminders for things that I know we should think in advance, but we don't. So recurring seasonal reminders also based on the the social calendar of that country. Shritama.
So I was thinking about how we can increase the transaction size, right? The order size that we talked about. I think one of the things that the app could do was, uh, is like digitally it is very, I mean, given the data that you have and also the attention that you get from the person who is looking at that app, it's very easy to give personalized recommendations about what from the menu they would be more intended or like interested in taking up, right?
Yeah.
So like based on their previous purchases or even on the based on like what stores they usually visit and like looking at what are the hot items from that store, they could be recommending those. I mean, the idea being that when they go to the store next time, they are more likely to try those out because they are already aware of it. They're already enticed by that.
Yeah. That makes sense. There could be personalized recommendations. Like if you have been previously buying, say, cake pops, maybe doing some other recommendation that is related. Personally, as a consumer, I want to know of all the things in their shelf, what is really fresh. And I know as a business, they probably want to say everything is fresh, because I want to order something that is truly fresh and not like a cake pop that is 2 days old. I always wonder if they could do that, because I would add something to the cart that is fresh over something that's been sitting there for a while.
I wonder, related to that, if they have food that's not as fresh that they would just throw out, if there's a way that they could connect to food banks or something.
Yeah.
To extend the connection that they mentioned, right? To say like, this is available, people who are able to purchase or not purchase, maybe cheaper, purchases of older items, or like just give away to local charities might be good.
Yeah, I think one thing they could also do is custom package deals. I think, Michelle, just building on top of what you wrote, like if I know, if you know, and again, businesses may not think that way. They are like, you're anyways buying something from me every day and paying the full price. Why would I offer you a monetary discount? But it could be building on top of to say, like, if you add a third item, now you get a discount. So you're paying full price for 2, but I'll give you a third for a discount. And these bundles can be dynamically created and personalized, potentially.
Yeah, actually, they sell like physical items besides beans on their stores, and I don't know why that's not featured in the app, but they could totally do something like that. All I see is beans, so it would be like some stores, if you buy beans, they will give you a free cup of it, like an espresso or something like that, free cup of coffee. And I wonder if they might, like the transaction size, recommendations, building on that idea is, bundles could be part of that.
You could totally do like a whole e-commerce angle. So if you see that Stanley cups that have gone viral, it's $40 for each cup. So they could easily tap into this this market of having cool travel coffee cups of different sizes and keeping stuff warm, cool. They do have limited edition cups that show up on eBay from time to time, which are actually people pay a lot of money for those. So I think building a whole e-commerce sort of tab or something like that into the app, which would totally open up a new revenue stream.
Yeah.
And this is something that they already have. So physically, like from the physical, like procurement and logistics and supply chain, that might not be that much effort wise. It would just be adding the required software to link it up.
Yeah,
so
totally. Because we are running out of time, to play devil's advocate, right? They have the merch in the store, to use my kids' language, teenagers' language. What is stopping them from doing it? Like, are there risks or other things that we don't think, because as a head of product, you need to think not just of the product angle, but your ecosystem. What's stopping them from doing it is one point to noodle on. The second is somebody just mentioned in the chat poll that airlines have different tiers of loyalty. I don't know if Starbucks does different tiers of loyalty. That could be another interesting place for them to play, such that somebody who just maybe comes twice a month can be elevated to a next tier. So instead of going to that third coffee somewhere else, you can come to Starbucks. We usually also talk about success metrics. Dory, I know if you have to drop, go. Sounds like revenue would be one of the success metrics we want to measure for this app. But again, as you think about the opportunity specific features, maybe pare down from either revenue to an engagement based on which features you take up. Cool. Thank you so much for joining. This was fun. We will post the Jamboard link as well as the recording in the Facebook group, and then we'll post the topic for the next session. Cool. Thank you, and see you next time. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.